What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV, back at it again with another banger, my friends. Y'all know the vibes. Kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
Breaking. We just got some big news, man. The number one leading scorer in all of Division I women's hoops, Ta'Niya Laston, has officially entered the transfer portal, bro. It is officially spooky hours. The portal, the NIL, this is nuts. This was reported by ESPN, and she is also represented by Clutch Sports Group. Just wanted to note that Laston averaged 25.2 points per game last season. They just got knocked out of the tournament by LSU. She had a 30 ball, though, still getting active out there. Now, apparently, Florida State has been preparing for this reality over the last several months when it became increasingly clear that she could potentially be in line to receive a lucrative NIL deal. A source with knowledge of the situation told ESPN FSU's top players, including Michaela Timpson and O'Mara Gordon, are graduating, and the sources said next year could look more like a rebuilding effort. So she's not trying to be a part of that. She's getting up out of there. Laston, one of the most decorated players in the school's history, has a close relationship with Florida State coach Brooke Wyckoff and could return to play for the program. So she's leaving her options open. She could return to Florida State, and they better come with that NIL money. Laston had initially committed to Florida State under former coach Sue Summerall in 2021. When Summerall left and retired in March of 2022, Wyckoff was elevated to head coach. Laston decided to stick around and give her coach a chance. She's a 3-year starter and an all-ACC performer, and she set the single-season Florida State scoring record with 731 points this season. She's definitely made her mark since her arrival in Tallahassee. As a freshman, she set the ACC single-season freshman scoring record with 695 points. She led all freshmen in the country with scoring 21.3 points per game and won ACC Rookie of the Year. She has twice scored more than 700 points in a season. That's a whole lot of buckets for you. And I'm telling you right now, there's a host of teams that could definitely use the leading scorer, the nation's leading scorer. And she's a walking bucket. At Florida State, man, they had an up and down season, but she absolutely put on. You talk about a 3-level scorer, elite 3-level scorer too, has range, can play and get the catch and shoot, can create off the dribble, very good ISO basketball player. In space, she's a tough cover. She gets to her spots, pulls up from mid-range, she can get to the cup. Even being a smaller guard, she's got a really nice layup package. She's crafty around the cup. And this just shows you what type of era we're in, man. It wasn't obviously just for NIL reasons, but also because Florida State could be in a full rebuild and she's probably trying to compete for a championship in her senior season. So it's definitely not just money, but obviously NIL was mentioned, and rocking with Clutch, we know they get their athletes paid. So it just shows you the NIL is changing the entire landscape of college hoops right now. Like, no player is safe. You as a coach have to recruit your roster every year while also trying to add more talent to it. Laston, this is definitely right now, currently, the biggest name in the portal, the most productive player in the portal. She has the scoring ability to completely shift the landscape of powers in women's college hoops. Like, this is major breaking news, man. And this is not something that we saw in previous years. Like, getting the nation leading scorer to hit the portal, and pretty much if you throw the right amount of money and you have a solid foundation to build around her, you might have a chance at landing Laston, man. We just seen her go crazy on LSU. Now, nobody else, the team, it was really primarily her. They had some other solid players, but it was the Laston show. She was the number one scouted player on the scouting report, top priority for other teams, man. And they just didn't have the talent to advance far into the tournament this year. They got dubbed by LSU, and that was probably the last straw for her, especially knowing that she could potentially miss the tournament next season. It's like, yeah, you could average 30, but averaging 30 on a mediocre team It's not for everybody. And obviously Laston's trying to get paid, which I don't feel like NIL would be a problem at a school like Florida State. And that's probably why she has not completely ruled them out of returning to the school. She's been there 3 years. It's like a home to her at this point. But at the same time, we saw Deja Kelly bounce out of North Carolina. So just because you start your career somewhere and give them blood, sweat, and tears don't mean you're necessarily going to finish there. But this is major, major news, man. Laston, definitely a big-time target that's going to have her phone ringing off the hook. There is no contact clause, so anybody could be in the race right now, potentially, when you're thinking about these powerhouse programs that could use a score with the WNBA draft and a lot of departures heading out. Laston could definitely fill a void for a lot of teams, man. Had to bring y'all that breaking news, though, because this is crazy. This is crazy. Number one scorer in the nation hitting the portal. Oh, my goodness. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments, though. That is a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, of course, I'm your host, Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. This is the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. And until next time, we out.